Hey foodies, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to make a French-Canadian meat tourtiere. Let's get to it. You want to start by preheating your skillet or your pan. It's important to have a nice hot pan. And then once it's hot, I'm going to start by cooking off some of my spices or herbs so that they can really develop their aromas. That's sage, clove. I've added a little hot pepper because I like a little bit of zing, and some thyme. And we're going to just stir that, and you can see it's smoking already, just a little tiny bit. Oh my goodness, if you could smell this, oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to turn it down to medium heat, and I'm going to add my ground meat. You might notice that I haven't added anything, oil or salt or anything like that yet. I want to really sear it. I'm going to add my oil in about 30 more seconds, and then the salt is going to be nearer the end so that it can really bring out the juices. But I want to sear those wonderful flavors in the meat. Okay, a little bit of oil to help it cook. This is really good. So at this point, I want to turn my stove back up onto high so I really cook the meat. So today, I'm not using a regular white onion or a sweet onion. I'm going to use some ground up green onion. I really like the flavor of the green onion. And I'm going to add that now. Some meat tourtiere recipes don't call for garlic. Mine does. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go a bit halfway in between and add a little bit of a fun little softer flavor than garlic, and I'm using garlic scapes. These are a great springtime vegetable, if you want to call it a vegetable, or a spice that you get from the stalk of garlic. Okay, that's looking really good so far. So now's the time where you want to start adding your salt. The meat is about halfway cooked. I'm going to add the salt just to bring out more of the juices, to draw out more of that liquid so that we can start thickening it. And give it a stir every time you've added something. And it helps break up the meat and mix all the flavors together. While that's cooking, I want to make the pastry. And today's pastry is being made with Frankie's all-purpose flour. It's a wonderful gluten-free alternative to traditional wheat flour or a white baking flour. And this is my go-to flour that I like going for. And we're starting with 2 cups of your gluten-free all-purpose flour and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and we need some butter. It's important to have really cold butter. This is 1 cup of unsalted butter. Okay, so I'm going to mix this up, and we're going to mix it until the butter resembles something the size of a small pea. Okay, so if we look at this, you can see like I've got some pea-sized shaped pieces of butter. It's the perfect size and consistency. It's also going to break down a little bit more in size. I've just stirred my filling. It looks really good. There's 2 more things that we have to add to it. One is some fresh ground pepper. And then lastly, because we want to thicken it just a little tiny bit, we can either add some potato flakes, which are fine, or I'm just going to use a little bit of flour. And I'm using about, a good heaping tablespoon of flour, and I'm just going to mix this up. And then I'm going to pour it right in. And that's going to thicken up really nicely. You can see it's thickening up already. Okay, so the meat filling is done. I'm shutting it off. So let's finish up our pastry. We're adding 1 egg. And we're adding a little bit of vinegar. We're adding a tablespoon of white vinegar, or I like adding apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to go a little bit more on that. There we go. And you want 2 tablespoons of cold water. Okay, so we're going to mix this up until it all forms into a ball. You might start wondering, is it ever going to form? But it's going to. Trust it. It's just going to work. It's really neat to see the transition when it goes from, oh, is it going to work, to this. Like, and you can hear it. It's really quite something. Oh, I was just saying to my cameraman Jamie that it's amazing the sensation that you get when it's going through and you're like, oh, it's not gonna work. And to this day, every time I make up pastry, it's like, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then it just, something happens. And it all comes together, and you can hear it, and you can see it, and it's amazing what happens to it. Like, it's beautiful pastry. What's nice when you're making pastry is, when it comes to gluten-free, is you can beat it as much as you want, because it's not going to get tough on you. It's always going to stay nice and flaky and moist. It's really quite amazing just how it works so well. Okay, so I'm going to cut this. I'm going to take about 70% of it. I'm going to put part of it back in the bowl. I've got my flour here. I want to really flour my surface. Lots of flour. And lots of flour on the pastry. Lift it up. Just keep adding flour. This thing's going to absorb lots and lots of flour. Oh, that looks beautiful. And now we're going to start rolling it out. Look at that pastry. Okay, so let's do a little pickup. You can see how much it picked it all up. There we go. Just a little dusty. And oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Okay, and so that is about, I'm going to say 3 millimeters thick, or I'm going to say about a 1/16 or between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch thick. It's a really nice thickness. I've tried to do it pretty evenly all around. And I'm going to grab my pie plate. I'm using glass, but if you want to use tin or metal, go for it. Okay. And then we pick it up like that. You might be asking yourself, how did he pick that up without it all crumbling apart? It's the egg. The egg really holds it together. It really gives it that elasticity that it really needs. Oh, this looks beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to cut the edge off. That's really nice. Okay, so I always like rolling out my lid, because when you have your lid rolled out, everything goes a lot quicker when you're about to do everything. So same thing, flatten it out, roll, and I don't have enough there, so I'm going to add by taking a chunk off and really incorporating it in. Again, it's not going to get tough, so add it, and really work it in. Bit more flour. Okay, here we go. You can see that some of the edges were lifting up as it just needed a bit more flour. Okay, and that looks beautiful. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to set that there for a minute. I'll put my rolling pin there. So this leftover dough, plus the part that we cut off, I'm going to wrap it up and put it in the fridge. It'll last in the fridge for a few days. I could make this with little turnovers, a little bit of pie, butter tarts, whatever, and it'll work just as well. Okay, and we've got that. And then lastly, I want to have an egg wash so that I can seal all the edges and give it a really nice finished top. So it starts with an egg, and you can add milk or water if you want. I'm just going to leave it as an egg because why not? Okay, little whisk. Done. Okay, so let's get it all in. That's warm. Okay, so you can see how nicely thickened this has turned out. It's really thickened up nicely, and it looks like it's going to hold once it's finished baking. I'm excited. I love the color that green onions add to my dish. Okay, I'll just set that over there for now. Just spread this out a little bit. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to damage the underside of the pastry. Okay, that looks great. Now I take my brush and I'm going to brush the edges. And it's okay if some of the eggs slides in. Okay. And then I take my lid and I gently place it over, and I'm off a little tiny bit. So I'm just going to move it over. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to cut the edge. So what the egg has done is it has sealed this edge really nicely. So it means it's not going to come bubbling out on the sides. Okay, and I want to do a fluted edge. So you can take a fork and you can run the fork all the way around, and that's perfectly fine. It helps seal the edge, but I like a little flute of an edge just to give it that nice touch. And it's lift and you push down a little tiny bit. And you just keep going around. Just like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to mark this with an M for vent holes and to tell me that it's meat. Okay, and a couple in the corners. And then I just lightly brush the egg wash over the whole surface. And that's going to give it a really, really beautiful coat on it. There we go. So I'm going to put this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes. I'm going to check it and see when it's golden brown, and that's going to tell me it's done. When it's done, we're going to pull it out and we're going to try it. See you in a minute. Oh. look at this meat tourtiere. It looks really, really nice. So I actually had some leftover pastry and I had some leftovers in the fridge, and I thought, you know, I'm just gonna make some turnovers. And I forgot to cover them, I forgot to brush them with the egg wash, so I can give you an example of what it's going to look like without the egg wash. You can see like there's a big color difference. Like there's a real nice sheen on the pie versus without it. So it does help having the egg wash, but it's not necessary. So let's cut into it. It sounds good. Okay. And I'm gonna do a third. There we go. Okay. Got my plate ready. Let's see how this comes out. Oh my goodness. Now this is very hot still. I probably want to let it sit for a bit, just to let it set up. But it looks really nice. You can see like lots of moisture in there, and it just, oh, it smells really, really good. So I want to give this a try, and we'll see what it's like. Hot. Oh, it's really nice. At first I thought when I was mixing it up that it would be too much clove, but no, there's a really nice balance of spices and herbs. It's really quite pleasant, and I think it's worth a try for you to give this recipe a try. And yeah, just try it and see. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. And maybe when I respond, we can meet again. Have a good day. Is that too much?